Welcome back to 7th Grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about ways to protect your privacy. And so we're going to start off by talking about the people who want to take your privacy away and ways to protect yourself. So there was an article in NBC News. It was an article on the October 11th, 2013 NBC News. Online. Mark Zuckerberg spends $30 million on 4 homes to ensure privacy. So this was earlier. This is in California. So what he did is he bought 4 homes. He bought the home next to him, and then he bought 2 more homes behind him. So this is from the guy who has gone on the record to say that privacy is not important for people anymore. Now, then in 2014, there's a Financial Post article that says Mark Zuckerberg buys part of the Kauai Island in Hawaii. So he bought 700 acres on the North Shore, and that included a 357-acre plantation and including around 2,600 feet of land that stretches along the North Shore on the sea. So this is also the guy that's telling you that privacy is not important, but he spends hundreds of millions of dollars to ensure his own privacy. Okay, what these people are doing, they are selling you a con. They are telling you that this new way of life is going to benefit you. But in the end, it really benefits these small groups of people that want to control all of your information and harvest this information for a profit 100%. So, okay, what's even worse than them are the people, the young people that enthusiastically speak about these things, and they don't really understand the nature of what they're speaking on. So there is a person that's close to me that was working for this data aggregator. Basically, it was a big data company. And when this person was describing their job to me, I think they've only been working there for like a couple months. So of course their knowledge is limited. But this person was speaking about this like in this super enthusiastic way, like they're on the cutting edge of some big breakthrough. And I just sat there in their living room and I said to them, "You're stealing information from people and you're selling it back to them." "Oh no, that's not what it is. What it is," and they tried to use all this doublespeak to say the exact same thing that I just said to them. I'm like, okay, think about what you just said, break it down. Listen, they were on the Jim Jones train drinking the Kool-Aid. Right. And so I haven't been speaking to that person in a long time. But when I was told this, when I heard that this person was doing this, I realized that this person was so far into the sunken place that it didn't matter, because this was a person that would do whatever it takes to survive, even shill for these big tech companies, and while they're stealing information from everybody they know and everybody that those people know.
Hold it, Roscoe. It's not about survival. I think you're wrong on that. I think it's about success. I think they'll do anything to say that they're successful. Okay, so when
No. You're making the mistake and thinking there's a difference between the two. Because
I completely do.
Go all the way back into the primal nature of man. What kind of person are we talking about?
Yep.
This is the person that when the men were out hunting, this guy would try and find a way to get out of work so that he can be back with the women.
He's doing woman work. No, I get that. I get it. See, the whole thing is people have a desire to be so successful.
Hey man, this is cunning. This is cunning on a level that is related to survival, because that person sees that they cannot compete on a certain level. So then they're going to do the next.
No.
We're not talking. I'm talking about in that prime example, it's physical. But in the modern example, it's not physical.
Hold on. I was about to say it. So you have these people that love to relate or equate themselves to these billionaires. Well, Zuckerberg bought this. I got cryptocurrency. They love to pretend like the little things they do are on par with with Elon Musk and these dickheads. Okay, so they got to be super successful in their job, even though their job, if you sat there and had a conversation with them, like you said, they're in the second place. But I don't know if they're in the second place or they're just that desperate for success. Like Okay, what you're saying is that it's about survival. This motherfucker, like you said, wouldn't survive in the old times. They either they'd be a bitch, or people would make fun of them.
But that's how they survive. You don't understand.
Yeah,
They
I
they
agree.
make a cottage industry about being a little sneaky
Yes,
bitch.
yeah, they'll create a niche for themselves. I get all that, but all I'm simply saying is that this motherfucker wants to pretend like he's on par with much greater people because he's doing some peon shit, and the peon shit is part of a bigger scheme to fuck the general public. You're a piece of shit, regardless. I hope the person wakes up. I hope they realize, okay, I hope they invest. See, this is why it's so important to have your own wealth. I'm not a money guy. But when you got 500,000 yet or 1.2 million put away, you're not so easily swayed into doing dumb shit that's more
Yeah.
reprehensible.
But see, the thing is, that person is
Could
the
never do that.
motherfucker that's going to be working for Skynet, and they'll be getting the information to the humans because they're on the inside. But
Yeah,
eventually, that's the same motherfucker
exclusivity.
that is the
Yes, gotcha.
person that is going to turn on those humans if it benefits them. Because Skynet is like, we found out that you gave humans information. We will now exterminate you. Exterminate. You know what? Wait. Hold on. What if I gave you some extra information? All right,
You
tell me what you
snitch.
got. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Look. Hey, check this out. So, me, me and you've always talked about how the world has changed to where the nerds are taking over, and I guess there's there's nothing wrong with somebody being a nerd
get
in
to
the
the goddamn
intelligence.
point.
Look, whenever we talk about these dickheads taking over, I keep seeing this one person's name pop up, and let's have this conversation. So, Tyler, the Creator, and the Fat Boy, we the best, DJ Khaled. They've been going back and forth for 2 albums now. And DJ Khaled actually said some deep shit. And he's like, so Tyler the Creator's last album outsold his, which, okay, whatever. Well, this album, Tyler the Creator just got the Grammy for the best rap album. This is the second album outsold DJ Khaled. And DJ Khaled made a point like, look, nobody knows your music. Nobody rides to it. If I turn
Bullshit.
on the
Bullshit.
hold it, hold it. I'm about to make a point. I know I know what you're about to say, but first things first, Tyler is a better rapper than I gave him credit for. I've listened to a few. He's better than I gave him credit for. But that's not the point. What DJ Khaled's saying is that when you roll down the street, you ain't hearing his shit thumping. You ain't seeing his shit all. And but Tyler the Creator is like, look, but these sold out shows are saying different. He said, the weirdo is with this. This is what we joke about. Nerdy motherfuckers, introverts are taking over. Just because you ain't rolling down the street hearing Tyler's music doesn't mean that motherfuckers ain't listening to it. Now you got introverts sitting there on their computers playing goofy ass card games, listening to his music. So you have a generation of weirdos who are coming up who listen to that guy's music. Just because they don't listen to it, they don't have big speakers in their car like me and you grew up with. Just because they're not out there like that.
Okay, you remember when we would go to the comic book shop when we was kids? You remember we would go in the door and there'd be this room off to the side and there was just the nerdiest motherfuckers on the
The
planet
room
Earth
got
in
bigger
there.
and bigger though. Hold it, that
Hold it.
room is huge now.
These motherfuckers are in there playing these card games, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah,
card games.
Dungeon Dragon
You
back
were
in the
the
day.
nerdiest motherfucker in the world if you was playing that fucking shit, right?
They all had
Now
has-been
those
haters.
motherfuckers own the building.
But here's the other part. Like that room got bigger and bigger as
Bigger and
Pokemon
bigger and
cards
bigger.
and this kind of card game took over. And
But that
in fact,
is an example for the world because
it's it.
their presence became more and greater over time and their influence grew.
But that's why what you were saying was so deep when you were talking about that person that's literally is data mining, and I'm like, these motherfuckers can't compete on a physical level, so they create niches. But that
Dude,
person is not alone.
listen. It also it's related to culture. That's
Oh
why
yeah.
That's
True,
why
true.
this discussion about Tyler the Creator versus DJ Khaled, who's a fucking culture vulture, is valid because
Oh no, I agree.
but it's
Yeah.
also about why cartoons suck right now. You know what I'm
Oh my
saying?
God. Oh,
Because
oh my
because
God.
Because those motherfuckers in that little small room that was playing cards got jobs at media companies and became the heads of media companies. And because they couldn't throw a football, because they had no masculinity, they began creating cartoons around the way they think kids should grow up, which is why G.I. Joe and Transformers and Thundercats and all these masculine cartoons fell out of vogue. And He-Man, all that shit fell out of vogue. Because nerds took over in the media first. They took over in the media space first. Because, listen, these were the motherfuckers that were the animators. These are the motherfuckers that were
the writer. It's the writer.
Listen. They were like George Lucas, the special effects guys. He was a fucking dork. You know what I'm saying? They were the special effects guys. And they took over in these media companies first. So you started seeing it first in these weak-ass, pussy-ass cartoons. And then you started seeing it in movies. And they slowly. Because, like, as a filmmaker, I watched this in when I was in film school in college. And what I noticed is that it happened through the film industry, but you started seeing like all these dudes in class. All these dudes in class who had no real directing talent or storytelling talent, or well, I'll say a minimal amount, and they leaned on tech so hard. Listen to me. I've seen this shit firsthand. I would go to film festivals, and there'd be all these like shitty sci-fi movies that were like 90% special effects and technology and 10% story. And you can tell these motherfuckers had no black friends, because there'd be a black character in these movies and they're one-dimensional and they have no fucking lines and they're predictable. And anytime you're watching these sci-fi shows, it is listen, up until the past 10 years, black people in sci-fi, it was a very small role, and it was already stereotypical shit because it was written by Jewish and white nerds who didn't have real black friends, had no connection to black people. But we're getting off topic here. I want to come back to the privacy.
Look, the point we were making is that these motherfuckers will convince you that privacy is not important are these nerdy motherfuckers that are, and we mentioned this in the past, people are leveraging their privacy just for the latest technology because they want to feel niche, they want to feel vogue. And this is just an example of that shit. And so,
but see, hold on. All right, those same people who didn't go outside or couldn't go outside became accustomed to that type of thinking, and they think that everybody should live that way.
I think the funny thing that we're leaving out is that when me and you were kids, it was okay to be masculine. Even the girls, played certain sports. Now, and so you have maybe 2 or 3 kids that couldn't participate. Now it's just the opposite. You got 3 kids doing sports and everybody else not participating. So I think that flip right there, when you read about them when they take out the PE in school, so these kids will have better test scores, shit like that. And so this gets the point about the privacy is that these people, they think it's okay to give away your DNA sample just for bullshit. It's just a weird state of affairs.
Okay,
and I think
I'll give you an example real quick. All right, when you drive by a basketball court, your competitive nature is looking at the cats playing, and you'll be like, either that motherfucker's good or, man, I'll go out there and school them motherfuckers. That's your competitive nature, right? Because you grew up.
You can spot it.
We grew up on a basketball court. Yeah. There was one block away from my house, and a big chunk of our childhood was on a playground, on a basketball court, playing football, playing sports. All right. These motherfuckers, when they drive by in their Tesla, they're thinking, because they didn't play basketball, because nobody ever picked them, they're like, we should knock that park down. We should knock that park down and put up a GameStop store.
Cell phone towers.
We're gonna knock that basketball court down.
It's not, like I said, this privacy thing. It's a serious thing, and that people, like I said, I'm not making fun of you for being different. I'm making fun of you for thinking that, trying to validate some bullshit. And this privacy thing is falling by the wayside.
But look. I'm not a fan of Tyler the Creator or DJ Khaled.
Because me neither. Hold on, you know that.
Yes,
that was just an example.
I know, but what I'm saying is that I'd rather there be more Tyler the Creators than DJ Khaled, because with Tyler the Creator, you're gonna get more creative music. It's
complicated conversation.
Well, I mean, but see, it's gonna be some different shit. It's gonna push the envelope in some ways, and I'm whatever. But with DJ Khaled, it's like he's gonna do
He's one
exactly.
dimensional. The
He's
same
one
thing.
dimensional, and it's basically he's following a formula.
He's done the same album over and over. Well, like I said, you always hear me talk about Andre Benjamin, Andre 3000. He said the deepest shit. He said, I do not want to do the same album twice. DJ Khaled has done the same album probably 10 times. Tyler
No,
the
more than
Creator
that.
might be more creative, but it's the people that follow him, the introverts, the nerds, the weirdos are taking over. It's just an example of that. Um, but the point we're making is that these are the people that are giving up their privacy just to have some exclusive shit. These are the people that are giving up their privacy for technology. And we talked about it in the past, but it's just the fact that it's really, really important that if you see how these billionaires spend their money, you see how, we're talking about the modern billionaire, but the old billionaires were the same way. How many times have you seen these guys buy up a whole fucking forest and shit? The prime example is the guy here in Omaha, Glen Cunningham Lake. We used to call it Damn Side 11. That's where me and you used to go fishing as a kid with my mom.
That sounds like
Well,
a fucking murder, a murder scene and shit. Damn, Side 11.
Damn Side 11. Man, there's always a body floating up in here. Well, there's a lot. That area has grown up. Back when we were kids, there were nothing around but a couple of farmhouses. Now there's an area and there's these three big houses
There's
on a hill.
developments.
Yeah, but the three big houses are relevant because the middle house belongs to, I think it's Jim Lords, the guy that owns First National Bank, and so he owns First National Bank. And so what was happening was whenever Bill Gates would come visit or Warren Buffett would come to his house, he was always worried about security. So he asked, can he buy the back part of the lake? And so the state said, no, you can't buy the part of the lake. He said, I want to buy the whole lake, just so he can have the privacy, just so he can know that he can have, provide security for Bill Gates when he comes in town, or when Warren Buffett was to pay a visit. And the state said, no, this is state recreation area. We won't do it. But again,
Nice.
this is what yeah, he offered
I
like
love that.
$100 million for just because this
The fact that they
we're,
said no, I fucking love that.
well, money can't buy you everything, but it shows you that how these rich people spend their money. It's cool to have fast cars. I'm a car guy. If I had enough money, I'd have some nice cars. I have some technology. I'd have some guns. I'm a gun guy.
But the
But
fact that they said no means they had the vision to see that this wouldn't end here. It would
oh no,
it would
100.
go on and on and on.
And so you once you recognize that how important this privacy is to these rich people, how come it's not important to you? And like I said, the issue is important to our generation because we're in our age group where we're now the adults, we're the OGs. I remember my homeboy's father-in-law called us OGs, and I was like, I'm not. He's like, no. And then I had to do the math. Like, oh yeah, I guess I did do that. I guess I did participate in this, in the riots at L.A. and all this other shit. And so Million Man March, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really important to know that our generation are the ones that will still talk about privacy. And then
Because we stand to lose more than we stand
something
to gain. Whereas
now
these people that are in their 20s and the teenagers,
or younger. Yep.
they stand to gain more. Actually, okay, this is
They
let me
feel
let
the
me
game.
wait. Hold on. Let me straighten up what I'm saying here because they're actually losing. Okay, this is the problem. They're actually losing more than they're gaining now. So they're actually
Yes.
losing as much as we are losing because they are being born with zero privacy.
Yes. See, I remember somebody said something real deep when they talked about slavery, and black people always fight, fighting. They said slaves always fought and revolted. This was not new. But the ones that fucked it up were the kids because these kids saw how their parents were treated and they were terrified. So that fear was enough to make. We never stopped fighting, but the second generation of slaves, the third generation are the ones that kind of backed off. Then the fourth generation has brought people over. Were the ones like, hey,
Oh no,
hey,
the first one's like, yeah, fuck this bullshit.
but the kid, and so what I'm saying is this is kind of the same effect. This is where the reason these people don't value privacy, they're losing the same amount that they're losing the same value that we're losing, but they don't value that because Everybody on TV is taking selfies. Everybody on TV is going live. And I, one place I kind of think it started was World Star. Like people like, why do you film yourself doing a felony, my nigga? For real. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, you are doing a felony.
Because they didn't get enough. Your mommy didn't pick them up. The moms didn't pick them up enough. The dad didn't hug them enough, or they didn't see their dad.
They wanted attention.
And then they're copying shit they see other people do, or they were just nobody grown around, but like, take that shit off your head. Stop doing that. Come over here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Listen. Hey, look at me. Do not do that. Why? Because I told you to. And you know why? You know what? I'll tell you why. Because you're going to look like a clown and nobody's going to respect you. And it'll be hard for you to get a job if you keep behaving like this.
It's a world of clown ass niggas.
Okay, look.
When you said don't be a clown, that was enough for me and you. But these motherfuckers don't be a clown.
Like you know why? You know why don't be a clown? Because that's some weak shit.
Yeah, but these
you don't want to be weak.
Right here, look, it's like me and you joke. Me and you love comedy, and we'll do a joke and we'll laugh, but we don't go too far. Like, hey, that's enough. You know, there's a point. These people don't have that point. You know, their point is way farther over here. And this is the thing that we're saying is that, you know, this privacy doesn't mean as much to them because their desire for celebrity is much more. Going back to exactly what you said about this person data mining and stealing people's their need to be on par, convince themselves they're as good as I want a Tesla. You know, I'm good as him. Hey, you ain't accomplished shit. but you want to put yourself in that conversation so easily, like, hey, you know, I got the same technology as this person. I got 3 or 4 iPhones, but you know, I live in an apartment that's about the size of a cell. You know, the cell in prison is bigger than an apartment that you rent right now for, you know, 2 or 3 thousand a month. That's the shit right there. You have all this prestige attached to the wrong shit, and it's easy for you to be corrupted or brainwashed into clinging to anything that makes you have significance. That's all that shit is. And you know, you always hear me say this. It's not about how you feel, it's about how you are. And I've told the story about my daughter. I'm like, hey, baby, I want you to be safe, not feel safe. You could feel safe and be in a room full of rapists. You know what I'm saying? But you'll be at home safe, but because you hear a sound, you like, oh my God, I'm terrified. So, but that's the reality that they don't understand, that their reality is more about how they feel. I want to feel like $1 million, nigga. I'd rather have $1 million. That shit right there. And don't get me wrong, I'm confident, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. But you know, your feeling, like I told you, I was bouncing at a club. That nigga felt like he could whip my ass. I knew better. I knew different. There's a reality that these motherfuckers ain't touching. That's the shit that's going on. That these motherfuckers are not. They're nowhere near where they think they are, but they want to feel good. So, and the truth is, you know, we keep forgetting that COVID got enough people brainwashed to where I think like these little kids that were into the whole celebrity thing and the technology, that's one thing. But when this COVID came out and they politicized it so much where either you're Democrat or Republican, you're masked or not masked, vax or not vax, that's where they brainwashed the older ones, the 38 to the 50-year-old ones. That's where they got brainwashed. Either you were wearing a mask, and I still see people wearing masks now. But like I told you, as long as it's their choice, I ain't got no beef with it. But when somebody tells you got to wear a mask, I got a problem with it because the technology and the information and the science weren't there. And so that's where the issue comes in.
So a lot of information that you have is out there. It's online. It's on your phone. It's from all these devices that are around you. It's even the data port where your Wi-Fi router is connected. All these things are telling on you, right? But let's talk about some things that you can do to take back that privacy. So there is a browser that you can use and a network. And the Tor network is this network. Now, people call it the dark web because there's, you know, shady shit that goes on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the network itself can be used for other things. And so look into using the Tor network. But there is a browser that you use on the Tor network, and it's called Tails. Now, TAILS stands for the Amnesiac Incognito Live System. And so what that does is it's about, okay, so it's a live OS, and it means you can boot it from a USB flash drive. And that basically like goes around having a permanent operating system. And so basically what happens is you have to have this flash drive to plug in, and that's how you get onto the Tor network. So what that allows you to do is basically as soon as you unplug that USB flash drive at the end of that session, you don't have an
Your
operating
presence,
system on that computer. Excuse me.
yeah, your presence is gone.
Yeah. Well, you don't have that network. You have the operating system, but like, so basically, okay, the operating system is on the flash drive. Okay, and then you
Yep.
unplug that, and then you don't have the operating system anymore. And so, I'm sorry, the browser. I'm getting them mixed up. So basically, it's a good way of using the Tor network through a dedicated operating system that enforces strong privacy and security protective attributes, right? So, and that operating system is called Tails. Okay, so the Tails operating system that you put on that flash drive, you can take it whatever you want, wherever you want, but you should be using that Tor network on a computer that is not important to you. So this is what I want to say. I think you should have two computers. You should have a laptop that you can take and put it somewhere where there won't be a way to have it tracked back to you. You can have it at your office, or you could rent a storage space and have it there,
Basically,
and
you got a
and
burner laptop.
and
It's a
use it in your
burner.
car, right? And so what it is, it's a way of having transactions, having discussions, having searches that are completely discrete, that are not tracked back to your place where you sleep, right?
Well, look, Google looks at everything you do, and that's the
Which is
issue.
why we're going to get to why you're not going to use Google anymore. So, because Google steals all your information and is always looking into your life, there are other alternatives. So, you can use a search engine and a browser on your main computer called Brave.
Huh,
Brave
okay.
is a computer that does not utilize Google at all. All right, but it searches the web, the collection of computers that makes up the internet. It searches the web and gets the information the same as Google does, but it does it in a different manner. But it is just as efficient as Google. So you can use the Brave browser, download that, and use the Brave search engine on your main computer. Now, people always talk about using the VPN.
Yep.
VPNs are good, but the only problem is when you first boot your computer up, there is a second before the
It
VPN
kicks in.
connects.
Yeah.
That means your computer is exposing its regular IPN address before that VPN can kick in. So, the way around that is anything that's private that you don't want going out over your IPN address, you need to use this other laptop that you're going to keep away from the house. Now, people think, oh well, this is some extra shit. Guess what? You got to do extra shit to keep yourself private, because really, privacy privacy is not given to you by the government. It's not.
Nope.
You're born with it. It's tied to your dignity and discretion together, those two things.
Making a decision without being afraid of repercussions or ramifications and shit like that, or being able to speak your piece and speak your mind. All that shit is part of your privacy. Because sometimes it takes a while for you to turn into the person you are. And, it just, you don't need every moment of your life held against you. Or, look, how would you feel if you made a mistake as a kid and they brought that shit up every year for the rest of your life? And like, your family's a dickhead. They'll do shit like that, but it's different. They're doing it in a joking way. Like, hey, Roscoe, you dropped that tray. Ah. But it's different when the government uses it or the job uses it. they're blackmailing you. They're essentially blackmailing you, and people don't even see it that way. You don't see the fact that they can pull what points that you're looking and all this other shit. Everything can be used against you now, and that's why it's important to have privacy. Is because you should have peace of mind knowing that, hey, I did something embarrassing once or twice. Don't hold it against me, but you shouldn't even know about it. HIPAA laws. We got all these laws about how not to release your medical shit. Then all of a sudden we had COVID change all that. Like, you got COVID? Like, nah, it's not your business if I got COVID, but you could spread it. Like, well, if you vax, why you worried about it, dickhead? That kind of shit. Everything that we knew to be true 10 years ago, all of a sudden is not true anymore. Now, either somebody was lying then or they're lying now. That's the whole point. This privacy thing is important, and if it wasn't important, they wouldn't be paying all this money for your privacy, and they don't, excuse me, for your information, and they don't even pay it to you. You know what I'm saying? They're paying it to all these other people to get your information. Just know what you're buying, what you're watching, your habits, your travel time, how much gas you spend, all that shit.
So the Tor network can also be used on the Linux operating system, Linux. And you've probably heard about this when you're in school and it just sounds like this super nerdy computer tech thing. Get Linux. There's a version of Linux you can download, and it looks like it's similar to the Firefox browser. It's kind of similar to that. But this operating system is called Linux Mint. All right, and you can download this, and you can create a partition on your computer and use this. Right? Use this operating system in this partition on your hard drive. And so from this part of your hard drive, you'll be using Linux. And so there'll be no backdoor communication between the Windows 10 operating system, which is a total Microsoft Edge, and in all these Microsoft programs. They are the biggest snitches in the universe because they're sending all your information to third-party companies, right? You can look into it. Microsoft Edge, just don't fucking use it. It's a piece of dog shit. Don't use that. It steals your information. So use Linux, all right? If you really want to be discreet on your home computer, I'm not talking about the burner computer we discussed earlier, because we're going to use a different, like we use Tails and the Tor network on that one. But on your home computer, you can use Linux, right? And there's different operating systems, okay? But Linux is a really good one because it's the hardest to hack. So now the next thing I want to talk about is email. Now, Yahoo and like Microsoft, all these other like free email. Anytime somebody's giving you a free email, there's more to it, right? They're using your information, okay? And you get all these pop-ups and all this bullshit, right? Well, there are some out there that are free, that they're created by people who are frustrated with being manipulated. All right. And one that I want to tell you about is Hushmail. Hushmail is really good because it doesn't really save anything. You can send an email to that person, but it doesn't last for a long time. It's very discreet. And here's another one. If you want to send an encrypted message to a person, send this one called PrivNote, PRVNOTE. And what this does is like Mission Impossible. After the person reads the message, it self-destructs, it destroys, it just completely shreds itself, right? Into an encrypted mess. And you can't retrieve it. Okay? So that's PrivNote. So basically what happens is you send a person you create the note, and then what it does is it gives you a password and a link. And then you send that to the person, and you make sure you send them the password, and they have, I think, 24 hours to read this message before it gets shredded. And so then once they read it, it gets shredded and it's gone. But you got to read it before that 24 hours is up. Okay. And then private SMS messaging services. All right. Like Apple has one. Don't use it because they've been backdoored and like all this stuff is being used in court. But also there was one that was good, but can't you really use it anymore, is Signal. Because Signal was being used by the people who were part of the insurrection. And, you know, it's been brought out in court. But one you can look into is Element and Wire. Those are two SMS messaging services. And here's another thing that you can really utilize that is kind of like a backdoor way of getting information. Don't watch the news. Don't watch any of that stuff. You can just go on social media websites like
Yep.
Telegram or Minds or like any of these platforms, and people will just post all the latest stuff that's going on there. And you can actually see, like, you don't have to watch news. You can just go on there and see what the hell is going on in the world, and people will just show you. But
Hell, look, the biggest issue lately was the Will Smith thing. I saw it on Facebook. I wasn't watching the Oscars.
I watched it live.
Yeah, and the next thing you know, I was texted by a friend that was out of town. Then you text. So, but I saw, I'm like, yeah, it's not this big. This is some bullshit. But the bottom line is, like what my friend is telling y'all, all that news, you don't need to be watching the news. Anything relevant, trust me, you'll find out about. Now, are you going to find out a watered down version? And like right now, the question still remains: how do we feel about the war in Ukraine? Shit, I already told you. I don't think it's black folks' business. Let these motherfuckers do what they do. Stop having an opinion about shit that don't
Well, I
affect
damn sure ain't going over there to rescue a motherfucker that's gonna call me a nigga while I'm doing it.
you with a straight face, like they're doing me a favor. Um, I, like on our podcast, we talk about shit that we think is relevant to us or think is important. Like, okay, we all agree that Will Smith overstepped his bounds, but Chris Rock is a fucking house nigga. He's done so much fucked up coonery that we can speak on that. Like, look, Will Smith was wrong. Chris Rock should have whooped his ass, but Chris Rock is a coon. So he has said so much fucked up shit, and he thinks it's a joke, and he has white writers, and yada yada yada. But Will Smith slapped him. Shit, Chris Rock should have socked that nigga dead in his grill. But again, he might want to be in the next Will Smith movie, so he took that shit like a bitch. Um, but that's what happens when you're more worried about technology and all this other shit, not recognizing. And when people sit here and tell you there's a few extra steps, so what? Your privacy is important. There's some shit that you don't want people to know about. And
Here's
my
another
brother
thing.
gives
Here's
you a
another thing.
solution.
Get a burner phone.
Oh,
Get
it's hard to
a
do now.
burner. No,
Hard.
no, 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 no. I can tell you how to do it right now.
Oh, I know, no. I know how to do it, but I don't.
I'm
Yeah,
not
but
talking to you, motherfucker. I'm talking to the people. The thing is that, okay, if y'all want a phone that you can throw away without caring about anything, go to your grocery store. Go to the customer service area. All right. At that desk, there's a little kiosk around there. It has prepaid cards. It has phone refill cards, and it
yep,
has phones for sale. Now you're not going to see the physical phone because they have those in the back of customer service. You're going to see these cards that represents the phone's design. And you see a bunch of these cards, and they're probably on sale. If you use like your Kroger Plus card or like your Baker's
48
card,
bucks.
it'll be $30. I once bought one for $20. A phone for $20 fucking dollars. And I'm not talking about a flip phone. I'm talking about a smartphone,
It's
right?
yours, 100% yours.
Check
No
this out.
payments.
So you get the SIM card for this phone for $20, $30, $40, right? And then you buy a $30, refill. Okay, so you activate the phone. You call the number on the back of the card. You activate the phone. You get, you go through the process of getting the phone activated, and then it's going to be an Android phone, which brings us to the next part of this discussion. So what this is going to do is going to create a Google account for you, because all these phones that are Android are run by the Google mainframe. So it has Windows, Google Maps, and Gmail, and like all these different things, right? You have to manually go into the settings, and you have to turn off the microphone. You have
Yep.
to turn off the GPS. You have to turn off all of the things that are telling on you. What am I talking about? Sight, sound, location. So that means you have to turn off your not your cell phone service, not that part. I'm talking about the part that's sending information back to third party companies. Okay, so you turn
Hey,
off that. Wait, hold on. You have to go into each of the programs that have microphones and turn them off. That's Instagram, that's Twitter, Google. You gotta turn off whatchamacallit, YouTube. Turn off all that shit that asks for
anything, yeah,
any information about you that you don't want given out.
anything that's Google based, YouTube. Hey, I
Anything
was
that
gonna
has
say
a,
you.
no. I'm going to go as far as say your location and your microphones. The next thing you're going to do is take a piece of blue painter's tape, cut a small little square or rectangle, and put it on the front facing camera on the phone. Because you have two cameras, a front facing and one on the back of the phone that you hold up to take pictures of stuff in front of you. Now, then you're going to say, oh, well, I can't take pictures of myself. Hey, just turn it around, put your index finger in the position of where the button's going to be, hold it in that position, pose for the camera, take the picture. But you still have the tape on the front. There's no reason for this to be on. This thing turns on all the time, and people
It's
don't know about it.
attached to certain. It's attached to certain
These
apps. Remember we had that.
microphones in these Apple earbuds, they would turn on like with people not even knowing about it, and you would hear the conversation in the next room, and the person be
Look,
like, is your phone on in the next room?" There's been instances of this shit when people first got these earbuds, they would hear themselves being recorded in the next room. So
it's
this is what I'm
crazy.
telling you. You have to disable all these microphones wherever they are. You have smart TVs that have microphones in them. Xbox Connect has a microphone in it. People have to go in and turn all this shit off. You have to manually turn all this shit off. But people are so lazy. They don't think to go and do any of this shit. And that's the
But
problem. That's how
I
you're
get it.
that's how you are riding down the street having a conversation about medieval Spanish vestibules, and
Next
then
thing you
all of a
know,
sudden you go to fucking YouTube, and then you got all these vestibules, medieval Spanish shit popping up in your fucking search criteria.
or we know the famous one, Facebook. There's an ad for this on Facebook. What the fuck? I just talked about oatmeal raisin cookies. How the fuck they know? Look, it's because they're listening. Your suspicions are real, and the deepest one out there is the TikTok one. Right now there's a class action against TikTok, and TikTok is never admitted to it. They just paid it. Like, they paid, was it $190 million? So if you had TikTok in the past 5 years, you can get into that class action lawsuit. But the thing is that people were like, yeah, it's facial recognition software. It's this, it's doing that, it's doing that. And TikTok is, so somebody took TikTok to court, and they just paid it. Paid whatever crazy amount of money they just paid. So, like I said, if you had TikTok in a certain period of time, you can get paid. They they they're not going to admit that they were doing it. They just said, "Hey, we'd rather pay," because they knew they would have been found guilty. This is proving that all the shit we joke about is real. But instead of you doing what it takes for them to not have power, or not to get your information, or not do, not to have you have your fucking camera on your phone, all these different apps are filming the shit while you're walking through a room. You're spying for somebody and you don't even realize it.
Yo, let's talk about the Skynet aspect of this. Let's talk about the fact that your children and you and everybody that you are teaching AI. You are teaching AI humanistic qualities, because all these people dancing on TikTok, all these people, your facial recognition, the wrinkles in your face, the way you move your face when you say things, your smirk and all
The,
that shit,
the plank challenge,
all that is being
the milk crate
recorded
challenge,
and put into a
the
database, so that you're like, yo, the first computer's gonna be laying, be like looking like white people. No, they're not. They are gonna be just looking like yo black ass, acting just like you, because they have been fed so much information. They know how to act like a black person, how to act like a Latino person. And,
how to have soul.
well, no, not that part.
That's that's
That
what they're
that
going
that that
for.
comes from the factory, and not the factory on the earth, the factory in the sky. But look, what I'm telling you is, when you're walking around and you're talking to Siri, or Hey
Oh
Alexa,
my
this
god.
bullshit.
Oh my god.
Dude, you don't realize that this little friend of yours is the biggest snitch in the world. Somebody you think is cool with you that can do you no harm has sold you out many
It's
times
not
over.
trivial. Not trivial at all. It's serious.
That's the problem though. It's like, all these things you asking for. Hey Siri, play this song. Hey Siri, turn on my flashlight. Hey this and that. Why am I getting asked for flashlights? Because you are too lazy to go into the settings and turn your flashlight on your phone. That's like, here, motherfucker. Like, you need a flashlight, a real one. Here's some ads for some cheap ass flashlights.
Making you weaker and weaker, or more and more dependent on some bullshit. That's all it is. So you can't do it on your own. Siri, I need a recipe for. Oh my god. So you ain't got a cookbook? Yeah. What's wrong with a cookbook?
Yo, so all right, this movie Wally, this Disney movie, this Pixar movie called Wally. Wally. It was about this computer that was not a computer, it was a robot.
Robot stranded.
Yeah, but it was on this dead planet, and these humans in this the equivalent of a ocean liner, but a spaceship version came flying by, and the people that were on this ocean liner were these fat, morbidly obese humans that had all these things, these pleasures at their fingertips, and they're the worst case scenario of humanity. These people who wrote this cartoon pretty much had the vision to see that, okay, this is where shit can go completely sideways, and before it goes completely sideways, this is what people are going to look like. But nobody walking around has the vision to see that shit. Now, what gave me some hope was all of the fucking people in humanity that were outdoors exercising during the pandemic. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Bro, I have never seen so many people exercising in their life. Dude, America was its most fittest during the fucking pandemic. I'm talking about everybody, young, old, black and white, outdoors.
No, I always saw white girls running the whole time.
No,
Like I lived.
I saw black people, man. I saw
Oh no,
black people, young and old.
you live in you live in Atlanta. I'm simply saying that I will go to get my mail, and streets are bare. Nobody's
Hold
driving.
on, hold
But
on,
there's
hold on. So you telling me you like that basketball court that's on Ames, on 40th and Ames,
I
right
don't
there
live over there anymore. I
at
wasn't there. I
Fontenelle
wasn't
Park?
about it.
Okay, see, all you do is go by Fontenelle Park, and you would see motherfuckers out there balling. So,
I'm. It's crazy that like the main ones you thought were like subscribe. Okay, we tend to box white people into like you're a Karen, you're this, you're that. I'm sorry, that's how we do. But you got Karens, but then you got them rock climbing motherfucker, adventurous kind that like fuck it, I don't need a mask, I'm in perfect shape. And you didn't. It wasn't dudes running, it was these women. And I'm like, so you got these Karens wearing masks, and you can't do this, and I'm gonna call your manager. But then you got this other chick taking this shit, and like fuck it, I'm running
so you're
every
saying
day
you
at the
saw
same time,
mostly women?
running, yeah, on schedule, like
I saw
running.
men and women,
Yeah, see, you would see one dude to
and
10
not
women.
just
I was
that. I
like,
saw men, women, teenagers. I mean, and then like there was that thing you told me about. You went by the old neighborhood, you saw the kids outside playing. Like,
play,
man,
yeah, I loved it.
that was special. So,
Yeah,
but
I'm like riding bikes and shit, like straight
yes,
up,
yes,
like
yes, yes. Like it was back
get
in
the
like the
fuck out of the
'90s and
house.
shit. I know.
Oh shit,
But look,
more like the '80s. Yeah,
so
get along, gang.
but that right there is what gives humanity hope because like in worst case scenarios, that survival reflex will kick in. And motherfuckers like, you know what, fuck this video game shit. I need to go outside and run. Like
Well,
I need to work out.
like okay, we were the beginning of the video game generation, so we
Yep.
had Ataris. Some people had Coleco, some people
Nintendos.
had Pong. You
I
know,
never had a Atari. I had Nintendo.
yes, you did. You had Atari before I
No,
did.
I didn't.
I thought. Oh,
Nope.
I thought.
Nope.
So
Nope. We did
okay.
not have
Well, I had
Atari.
Atari. Then you went off the deep end with the whole Japanese Sega.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
you went there. But I thought you had an Atari. I was positive you had one. Okay,
Negative.
never mind.
Negative.
But still, but our parents, if me and you were in the house playing for a certain period of time, my mom like, hey, you got to go outside now. There was like some kind of internal timer in my mom's head, like, hey, you don't play enough video games. Go outside. And I'm like, go. It didn't matter what it was, hot, cold. Like mine's 105 degrees out. Okay, well, shit,
But see,
motherfucker, shit.
that's what happened with all them little black kids you saw outside during the pandemic. Is like their parents were like, all right, that's it, go outside, get out of
I,
here.
I can't stand you. You know, get on my nerve.
Yeah.
Fucking kids. But like, we had rules, but the whole thing is that nobody wants to say that the most obvious shit about how we grew up, it was about strengthening us. Our parents wanted us to be strong. Our parents raised us to be adults. Our parents were not, they were very protective, as in if somebody touched you, they would fuck that nigga up. But they were not protective, as in you go experience life.
Dude,
We didn't wear helmets.
one of the fucked
We
up parts of that pandemic is like a lot of the state parks and shit were closed, and some of the national parks were closed. So that's why people were clustered together outside and shit. Dude,
Yep.
the biggest park in the city of Atlanta is Piedmont Park, right? And dude, like went by there. I was across the street from there at this high school at this track. I was doing a shoot for this Instagram influencer, and we were loading out into the car, and I look across the street. I'm like, holy shit, dude! It looked like it was like a CrossFit extravaganza, like festival and shit. Like it was motherfuckers were rolling up with their own weight sets and shit. I'm like, oh, y'all motherfuckers are for real. I mean, I'm talking about, it was a gang of black people, gang of white people, and some Asian people off in there and shit. It was crazy. It was a lot of motherfuckers outdoors. And I'm like, oh, there's nowhere else to go, so everybody else is here. But yeah.
Everything's locked up. Everything's locked down.
Yeah.
Look, this whole privacy thing, like I said, well, we've said it 1,000 times how people will leverage their privacy for convenience. And the first thing out your mouth is that all these steps to protect your privacy are inconvenient. Somebody knowing your business is inconvenient. Somebody, you don't, you literally, we've been protecting our privacy as a society for so long. Like when you get your mail, people don't know what's in your mail. It's locked up, or your mailbox is. We've always done stuff to protect our privacy. Now that we're going virtual, we're like, oh, it's no big deal. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that you fought for all these years. You don't want nobody knowing your social. You don't want nobody knowing your credit card. You don't want nobody knowing anything. And you fought to keep that shit private. Now all of a sudden, it's cool. Like a selfie, you're snitching on yourself. You're telling all your pertinent information, and you don't even realize it. Just so you can save a game. Look. Bottom line, we don't really need social media. It's a joke. It's fun when it is, but you know as well as I do, you'll waste time on social media and not realize it. So pay attention.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So NFTs are big right now.
Yep.
And there's these NFT groups, like chat groups, and like they call spaces in some social media platforms. And I started to notice that for, a lot of these things, some of these people are on this, because you can see who's on them, who's on these spaces and shit. And I could see some of these people, some of the same people were like hosting these things like every day. And like, different ones and shit. And I'm like, okay, NFTs are about art, whether it's music or it's something visual. That's art. So I'm like, okay, when do you have time to make some art? Because it's like, you on this motherfucker all the time. And I'm like, oh, I get it now.
But
these people, no. These are the Manifest Destiny motherfuckers that came over here from Europe, and they're part of the land grab. And this is the land grab for the metaverse.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. This is why these motherfuckers are on all the time. I'm like, they're staking their piece of land in this place that is not physical. I'm like, that's cool, but I got work I gotta do, number one. And then number two, when I'm not working, I gotta create. And then when I'm not creating, I have a personal life that I'm obligated to spend time with the people that love me. So I'm like, all right. Well, I don't have that much fucking time to clear as you do. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'll check in and drop some fucking dope art. But yeah, I see what's going on here. And I'm like, oh, Part of this is a hustle. Part of this is an opportunist system. Part of this is we want to get to know you from the inside out instead of the outside in. And I'm like, okay, all right, all right. So if I'm on this thing all the time, that's tracking my data. Now, y'all need to understand something. Y'all, when you fill out these forms for like to get email service, when you fill out like forms to get like a phone, don't give them your real name. Do not give
See,
them your real name. Hold up. Don't give them your
that's
social
how you
security
fuck.
number. Don't give them your fucking real address. Don't listen. Don't give away any important information unless you absolutely have to. Now
But see, that's
listen.
how
Hold
you
on.
get used to it. You become desensitized to this shit. That's why you're
That
giving it up.
it's laziness. Listen. Create an alias. Create an alias and be that person when you're online. Because guess what? These motherfuckers don't know you. They don't pay your bills. They don't
Man,
feed your
shit.
kids.
You need to be catfishing on purpose, my nigga. Fuck that
Bingo.
shit.
You
Catfishing.
got no. You need to be a fucking like a pro level bass fishing catfish motherfucker.
Man, shit.
You know, like
They,
like
they,
like those motherfuckers that like bass fish for like competition and money. That's what you need to be on some
they should
fucking
never.
catfishing shit.
They shouldn't know what you look like, where you live, none of
None
that
of that
shit.
shit. Stop
Yeah.
giving away all this shit. This is me and my kids on vacation. Hey man, I don't need to know all that shit.
Look, how many people have lost their jobs because of that shit? And trust me, you think that some shit is common sense. I don't know what the fuck that means anymore. Look, these motherfuckers will
Hey,
call
hey,
in
hey, hey,
sick.
hey, hey, hey. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't create that habit of saying I don't know what common sense is. You know, and motherfuckers need to be reminded of what common sense
Sometimes,
is.
yes.
Yeah, don't do
Look,
that.
look. The bottom. What I'm saying is that shit that I thought was common, the shit that you thought you didn't have to say, you gotta say. And how many these motherfuckers will call in sick, and then next you know they're showing pictures of what they're doing. Oh, I'm having a great time in Chicago, dude. You called in sick. Be back in 3 days. You know, look, 3 day weekend. No, the whole idea, this privacy thing, is important. But then don't tell on yourself. Don't sit here and give your job the ability to fire you because you were doing something that you weren't supposed to do. Don't sit here and I just told you people snitch on themselves. You know, dry snitching is the way to go now. You got motherfuckers that'll put a Facebook post out there like, oh my God, my coworkers aren't shit. This bitch pretend like she was sick. Like, so you mean to tell me that your boss ain't gonna look at it and know which there's 33 people sick? So yeah, you snitching. So, like I said, this privacy thing, I don't care where you go or how many. I got this one. I forgot about this. This happened like about 6 years ago. My homeboy was like, I guess this chick he was dating or this chick he was cool with. She literally was in the Bahamas and lit it up with pictures. She got home to nothing because you told everybody you was out of town and all your shit is gone. See, remember when me and you grew up? Like, you don't brag about where you're going. Like, if you want to tell people how you had your summer vacation, cool. But you don't tell people where you're going before you leave town. You remember if your parents bought some new shit in the boxes, they would break the boxes down, or we would drive and take the boxes someplace else. You got motherfuckers
People don't
sat straight
understand
through
why
these,
you do that shit.
huh?
People don't understand why you do
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh yeah. Well, see, when we were kids, our parents didn't explain shit to us right off the bat, but later on they like, because your dad was real smooth. You do that so nobody knows what you got. You understand? Yeah, man, you had 19 VCRs. I ain't never seen a VCR box. You
Dude,
understand?
Christmas. All you gotta do is drive in front of the house and look at all the garbage that's outside.
And you know who had a
We
good
gonna rob them
Christmas.
motherfuckers
You
next.
know, yes, who needs to be robbed. That's the whole thing. Like, even when we were kids, like our parents, if we would brag about shit, we got beat. Like, hey man, hey dude, we got a brand new TV. That's an ass whooping. And when you were a kid, in the '80s, you didn't know why. It's because my mama knew, like, look, if you brag about what we got in this house, that means these motherfuckers who ain't got the shit and they want to rob somebody, ain't nobody gonna rob nobody if they ain't got shit. Very few people just break into a house just for shits and giggles. Because you'll break in and ain't nothing there. But you definitely break into that motherfucker that got 6, 7 TVs, got motherfucking jewelry, got that because you know that that's a good haul. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get some. So bragging about shit. Well, that's what you're doing right now. You're bragging about your shit, and then you get upset when somebody steals your information. when somebody knows your shoe size for no reason. Look, you don't let people know what's in your house, and that's what you do. You're doing it virtually, no problem. And I told you, I think one way that we fucked up is we become desensitized because we fill out so many applications and we have to put our name on so many different things that we don't like. We do it. We don't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying that when you fill out this many applications and you're on this many different social media sites and you're on this, that, and other, and Google is everywhere. But them motherfuckers is the dastardly motherfucking espionage motherfuckers you can think of.
That's right.
They're taking everything of yours.
That's right. And so the bottom line is that, listen, we have laid out ways that they are stealing your information and that you're giving away your information and who is doing it. And we have also laid out ways to protect yourself and curtail the amount of information that you give out to people. Okay. So revisit this episode many times and you'll find that there's information in there that can benefit you to, protect yourself. That's all I got. We out. Peace.
Holla back.